Okay, look who's back. Congressman Dusty Johnson from House Transportation. This news coming in this hour. Congressman, we'd like a reaction to Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg on camera, now downplaying the toxic oil rail disaster by comparing it to other derailments. Watch this.
Look, rail safety is something that that has evolved a lot over the years, but there's clearly more that needs to be done because while this horrible situation has gotten a particularly high amount of attention, there are roughly 1,000 cases a year of a train derailing.
Your reaction, Congressman?
I don't think any of us should do anything to downplay this situation. The reality is the people of East Palestine continue to have serious health problems. There are animals in the area that are having serious health problems. This is not like every other train derailment. And the reality is we need Secretary Buttigieg and others to communicate in a way that lets everybody know that this is being taken seriously. I think there's 4 things we've got to do in the intermediate term here, in the immediate and long term, to get these, to make sure we've got good communication out there. Number 1, the administration needs to step up and seem more in control. You just think about Ron DeSantis and the hurricanes that came through Florida. People felt better because he was sharing what he knew. Then we've got to have the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, and Congress hold hearings to get to the bottom of this.
So it comes, Pete Buttigieg's comments today comes right as FEMA under this White House is now denying Ohio emergency disaster relief, saying this catastrophic toxic train derailment in East Palestine does not qualify. Your take on that, Congressman?
Well, obviously details are still coming out. I want to better understand what in the world they used to defend this decision. On its face, I think it's hard to stomach. This is not like every other train derailment. This is a serious problem, and I think we need adults in the room to step up and make sure we've got all hands on deck to take care of this. This is the second Norfolk Southern derailment with hazardous materials in the last 2 weeks. What in the world is going on?
So Pete Buttigieg basically insults East Palestine, comparing their Ohio toxic train crash to 1,000 other train derailments, and then he's blaming Trump about stopping a safety rule for electronically controlled pneumatic brakes. But there's no indication Pete Buttigieg is fighting to reinstate that rule. This is you know about this, the 2015 rule. It was fought over in court. National Academy of Sciences said there was not enough data, and the GAO said there's not enough data to support this braking rule. But people are saying that it should be reinstated. Where do you come down on that?
I think rather than pointing fingers, what we want to do right now is, again, communicate what's going on, make sure everybody understands that, this is under control. But I would also say, Liz, Secretary Buttigieg saying, oh, there are 1,000 of these. That makes people think that rail transport is not safe. That's not accurate. I mean, we want to put this into context. This is rare. Thank goodness this kind of accident with this kind of hazardous material is rare. The fact that we want to try to blame the previous administration or make it seem like this happens every day or every week, that is a problem. So
Pete Buttigieg declined an invitation from Ohio Congressman Bill Johnson to a town hall last night in East Palestine, Ohio. The secretary has not visited the site of this toxic train derailment. He's not been to any of the more than 1,000 rail crashes last year and the year before. We checked. He may have been to some, but we didn't detect it. He instead waited a week and a half to only tweet his, quote, concern about what's going on in Ohio. Let's get your reaction to residents in Palestine and their take. Watch this.
Department of Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg is blaming Trump for this.
That's ridiculous. How can you blame Trump for what's happening here? It's nobody's fault but Norfolk Southern.
It's absurd. Only Pistol Pete could be that absurd.
Trump hasn't been there for 3 years. I mean, how can you blame somebody that hasn't been on the switch for 3 years?
If you can't step up, it's time to step down.
That was the Attorney General of Ohio. Congressman, the mayor of East Palestine just said they have only heard from the White House yesterday. Is Pete Buttigieg a textbook case for why former military, maybe West Point grads, should run transportation FAA?
I have seen leaders respond to terrible problems, natural disasters, man-made disasters. And Liz, it seems to me that the two most important commandments for those leaders, number one, get boots on the ground. And then number two, over-communicate the situational awareness. I mentioned Ron DeSantis earlier. We saw that during the hurricanes, he did that. He over-communicated and he got boots on the ground. He was there. If Secretary Buttigieg asked me for my advice, I would tell him, you've got to get there and you've got to make sure people have the information about what you're doing and what's going to happen next.
But he's not going. Why isn't he going?
Well, I don't know exactly what's going on in his schedule. It's a little hard to imagine that there's something he's doing today that is more important than that.
Okay.
I think he's making a big mistake.
Got it. Congressman Johnson, thanks for joining us tonight. It's good to see you.